Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. Atlanta United finally played at the Benz and it seemed like a resurgent performance. Let's review the match and more next. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ and this is Marc.
Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube.
This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern.
Follow our Twitch for watch-alongs on match days on twitch.tv/ATL UTD FanTV.
So guys, let's get into the match review, and it was a 2-0 win against Nashville SC. We returned to the Benz in a triumphant way. Getting that clean sheet, quite good, even though I would say overall, we didn't maybe kind of look like we were going to, always preserve a clean sheet throughout the match, but this is the way it started out. In terms of the starting lineup, you had Guzan, you had Bello, you had Fernando Mesa, you had Anton Wax, and you had Franco Escobar, and then you had Brooks Lennon in that back line. It really actually played different ways, actually, but we'll get into it in a second. Eric Remedi started alongside Emerson Hyndman and Mateus Rossetto, and then PT and Adam John were up there. And so in terms of that, it could have looked like I think with the heat maps it kind of looked like a 3-4-2-1. It also kind of at times looked like a 4-2-3-1 in some respects. But I think it was just kind of very fluid throughout the match. Brooks Lennon and George Bello were very high up. And so, if they were the wingbacks, then, they were definitely involved with a lot of the play. And Franco Escobar kind of stayed a little closer to the back line, and so he wasn't really that kind of bombing forward fullback. So that's where it kind of did seem like a little bit more of a three-man back line. But either way...
I thought he got forward at times. I thought at times he took up an aggressive position, but I think it was a good description of it. I think it was fluid overall.
Yeah, and so, with that being said, it was, a lot of people are maligning that three-man back line. They don't want to see it because the 3-4-3 that Frank de Boer employed or deployed was just not maybe, their cup of tea. And this definitely, I think, you could see from the off, even though it might have been a little bit kind of rusty at points in the beginning, we grew into the match. And I think, starting after, 3-4 weeks, playing full 90 minutes, it's always going to be a little bit, showing a little signs of rust. So... I think that's to be expected, but, the fact that we grew into the match like we did, I think, definitely bodes well because of the way I think the tactics were set out. We were definitely on the front foot. We wanted to play. We wanted to be on the ball. There were some one-touch passes, and, we, I think, looked very, very attacking and wanted to really... punish Nashville as much as we could. Even though, when you actually look at some of the stats, it was 15 shots for Nashville and 6 for us. And, on target, it was 5 for Nashville and 4 for us. So we were definitely a lot more clinical. But, do you have any, quick takeaways from, the lineup, like you just mentioned a little bit, but also, what the impetus was from Stephen Glass, our interim head coach?
Yeah, I thought one of the more interesting inclusions in the starting 11 was Mateus Rossetto. And then as the match unfolded, I just thought Eric Remedi had a really tidy game in that holding midfield role. And, he was somebody that really, toward the end of 2019 and in the MLS's back, we didn't see much of, certainly on the starting lineup. He wasn't really entrusted with that role, but I thought he did really well in terms of recoveries, clearances when they needed to be. I thought his fouling was smart for the most part. And then, he has the assist for the first goal. But I think an extension of that, so in general, like I've already mentioned, Hisetsu and Remedi, I think the midfield three, the way they work together, speaking of Heinemann as well, I thought they looked fluid. I thought another thing that jumped out to me was that the attack definitely seemed like they were going through the left side a little more. You had Heinemann taking up a left-sided position a lot in the first half and then cutting in as the ball advanced. George Bello was certainly into the attack. I thought he did well to get up and down the field, but more in the first half, I think he was getting up the field, and there was Petey who was kind of floating and getting on the ball as much as he could. Certainly being involved with the attack as much as he could. I thought you saw quite a few moves go through him even before that goal. So it was, I think it was an interesting performance seeing the positions that they kind of took up in attack, because I think, it was a combination of them finding the space, but it seems like a lot of that was premeditated in terms of like, we're going to attack this side of the field. So, yeah, I mean, like that was my think of the first half, especially with that lineup.
Yeah, because definitely, if you look at also the percentage of which third we're attacking, it's that left side. We're absolutely just it's 47%. It's a ton of the game we're playing on that side, and yeah, George Bello is a big piece of that, and also P.T. Martinez, of course. It seemed like there was definitely more verticalidad, basically, yeah, the making sure that we are trying to play a little bit more direct. Once we get the ball, we're progressing it forward, and yeah, seeing that, I think definitely gets a lot more people excited, because we want to be an attacking side that looks to punish a team early and not kind of dilly-dally on the ball. And yeah, I mean that onus definitely, yeah, you saw good games from PT, from George Bello. I mean, but yeah, like you were mentioning with Eric Remedi and him like dropping in between the center backs a little bit, that definitely allowed, I think, more of the not only recycling of possession and keeping possession, but us kind of moving our whole team up, towards their third, and really just kind of avoiding having to play back and forth in our third. And so, very, very important.
I mean, we didn't really abandon playing out of the back necessarily, especially from like goal kicks and such. You had the center backs stationed in the box, and then they would like do some, I thought, at times risky passing, but that also seemed deliberate in terms of trying to draw Nashville out. I thought I just want to talk a little bit about Hisetsu specifically, because I thought he was also trying to get on the ball. He came deep at times to collect the ball, and he was kind of him and Remedi, I think, were kind of starting attacks and sort of pulling the strings, which was encouraging to see, because Hisetsu certainly, I think even from preseason, we've been excited to see what he can do in a real game situation. So I thought this was an encouraging performance. And then the goal, it comes off of Nashville's best look. I thought probably, yeah, that's Guzan's like his best save. I think probably his most easily the most difficult moment, because other than that, I can't think of too many really good Nashville chances. But no, he does well with the save, and then Remedi gets on the ball and he finds PD over the top. And one criticism I think I have, and you saw this more in the first half, was just a lot of crossing. And you can understand why they would do that with Adam John in the game. But Nashville, they just have those twin towers back there. And I think it's Joe Willis. Yeah, he's not a small keeper either. And so that was always going to be a difficult route to try to attack Nashville. And so I was just wondering if maybe this wasn't the best matchup for John. I think, maybe he did the best he could. But then you saw PD on the ball running at those center backs. He chops Walker Zimmerman out of his shoes and gets the goal that way. So it was an interesting first half, I think, overall.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think, you bring up a good point in that Adam John being in this match, while in theory, him maybe holding it up and being able to bring in other players might work. I mean, he essentially wasn't very visible in this match. He had 4 completed passes, I think, throughout the entire match. But I think, also, though, he was making that run that drew away another defender so that PT could, get in the box and score. And so, that he did open up space for other players. And so, there is selfless runs in there. When you're a striker, you might be doing some things that might help the team, but it might not always be visible. But it is, yeah. I mean, largely, did he really get, some dangerous shots off? Was he really that involved in our build-up? Not too much. And so that's where when Kubo Torres came on and, the substitutes in there, some people maybe thought he could start, maybe. If he did start this match, I think it could have worked as well. I think we could have run rampant a little bit at times because you saw it. I mean, Nashville in the second half definitely tired a little bit more, and we hit them on the counter. Both goals were essentially counter goals, not really us trying to play through them and quick, tidy little passes. Although in the 24th minute, that almost happened, where when we almost one-touched them and it ended up on Brooks Lennon's feet in the box. Oh, that would have been a beautiful team goal because that was that was what we want to see. I think that's that type of it. Almost you walk in the goal, but it is beautiful to see anytime a team can pull it off, and we pulled off some of those before, but.
Yeah, it's that one touch, but at the same time, quick progression. It's almost like a tiki counter. So you know what I mean. But the interplay before the ball to Bello, I thought that was very good as well. And I'm sure Brooks Lennon would want to have that one back.
Yeah, definitely. I think he knew that was a really, really good chance. But it also you see involved in that cross is from George Bello, and I mean he was just I think. In terms of performances, attacking-wise, this was definitely, I think, maybe sans that New England Revolution one, one of his more complete attacking performances, where, he was just kind of terrorizing that left side. But, and he was pretty solid, I think, going backwards. I think only got beat maybe a couple times, but other than that, made the interceptions when he needed to. Was tidy on the ball when asked to be, but I think
definitely.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he tracked run as well. I thought he wasn't. I don't remember a time him getting caught out. So I agree with you.
Yeah, but I think something interesting from this match was the reffing. Indeed, was bit annoying at times. It seemed like the ref. When we had a play where we could play advantage, he pulled it back when we could have played it forward and we were still on the ball. The foul and yellow to Anton Walks, questionable. I mean, it's just throughout the match
so soft.
Yeah, it seemed like he wanted to call everything. And sometimes you kind of need to let the match flow a little bit. We called this in the match preview. Ted Uncle is one of those guys that, is one of those guys that gets you talking to yourself when he refs matches. It's just like, what is he doing here? But
I mean, I know we joke on when we talk about this, but in reality, it's actually really frustrating to see some of those calls.
Yes.
There was another call after the questionable Walks yellow card. He called a foul on Mesa, even though it looked like a really good tackle, and I'm just like, what is this, man? It's like, I thought Ali and I did well to keep their heads in that little passage of play because that came actually before the goal.
Right. I mean, for the most part, until one of the Nashville players pretty much try to manhandle George Bello, and then yes, there's scuffles after that.
Yeah.
I mean, almost has to be
Yeah,
because.
Yeah, Remedi got in there. Yeah, and I agree with that too. Protecting a young player, there's probably a little bit of that, a little bit of gamesmanship.
Right, and yeah, to be shoved off the ball on the sideline like that for no reason at all is like, yeah, I mean, you're gonna get it from the team, whoever the enforcers are on the team. I think one of the coaches also stepped in, and yeah, I mean, it had to happen, I think, because you gotta stand up for your players as well. But anyway, so let's get to that second goal. I mean, that's, I think, a beauty. I think for most of it. I think mostly at the end of it. But but Mo Adams, he steps forward at their player that's on the ball, dispossesses him, and then Pity Martinez finds Kubo Torres, who Mo Adams continues to run forward. And he's found by Kubo Torres where, yeah, I mean, the ball maybe isn't perfect, but Mo Adams has enough pace to get on the end of it. And, yeah, his head is up. He looks at that third man run, and out of nowhere, I mean, just an absolute bullet. And Pity Martinez, it's like, I don't know how many miles per hour or like kilometers per hour that was, but it was like lickety split. It was behind the goalkeeper's hand. Like, he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. No, like, by the time he gets his hand where the ball's hitting the back of the net. Like, it was a rocket. It's like, when, like the cliche, I think, is he shouldn't get beaten on his near post, but that shot was just a rocket. Yeah. And in terms of that sequence of play, so, like, I watched this match on replay. I wasn't able to watch it live, but I was making notes. And about 10 minutes before that goal, one of the notes I made was that Petey's still working really hard on and off the ball. He's chasing, he's still pressing, he's still chasing down loose balls and so on, being a nuisance. And he starts that by pressing, I forget who the Nashville player was, but it's actually pressing him off the ball. He creates that turnover in midfield, gets it to Kubo. Kubo finds Mo Adams. And so Mo Adams, I thought, was an interesting stuff because he came on for Hyman. Mm-hmm. And, you and I have talked about Adams a bit, we kind of have been wondering exactly does Adams offer to the team. I thought he came on and he had good energy. I thought he was showing a willingness to get on the ball, help move it around, especially when you're protecting a lead. That's important. And then, yeah, he has the energy to get forward, be an option for Kubo. Maybe the pass isn't the best, but he still tracks it down and he plays a simple ball back to Petey. I mean, it's just those little things, like we remember the golazo for sure. That should get the majority of the credit, but it is a little bit of a team goal, against a team that was, like we mentioned earlier, was kind of struggling at that point. So, yeah, it was a really encouraging goal to see, and you love seeing the quality from Petey, absolutely.
Yeah. And then, with the celebration, he puts up a 7 for Josef Martinez. I mean, that's just, again, the hashtag 2020 for Josef. We're, unfortunately, he's not able to, play in 2020, but it is just really great to see that he's still being, loved by the players. And, it's not like, he had to do that. Like, he was showing love for Josef because, yeah, he's our talisman for sure. But yeah, so these were Pity Martinez's first 2 goals in the 2020 season, which is insane because we're in August. But obviously because of the pandemic and MLS's back tournament and how that went, in terms of the MLS season, obviously I think he had scored in the Champions League, and so a little bit different.
Motagua, that's what I was trying to remember. You're right.
Right,
yeah,
and so that's where it's like, yeah, we all remember he did start the season quite well, but yeah, so there are the people that maligned him for sure, especially during the MLS's back tournament. But I think this is a great stepping stone. Now we just want to see some more consistency from Pity Martinez, but. Yeah, in terms of that, though, what do you think the difference was in this match? Because, yeah, before, I think there was some talk that, he's he spoke to the press saying that he was being played in more of the left wing, and whether either he was or wasn't, it also was Stephen Glass had studied some video on him at River Plate and kind of hoping to try to get the best of PT. So in that regard, what did you see in this match that was maybe different from, previous kind of, just performances where it really wasn't quite, put together from PT?
Yeah, well, we've mentioned the word fluid, and I think that's certainly, in terms of PT and his positioning, I thought he did have kind of a free role, except that I do think he favored the left side, again, because, we had so many attacks going down the left side. I think PT was just always going to be involved in the attack. But at the same time, he was collecting the ball deep at times, I think, wanting to get a touch on the ball, just kind of wanting to move the team up. But then also we saw times when maybe we would play out of the back, and then if Nashville was kind of drawn upfield a little bit, PD would collect and then run into space. And so it just seemed like he had kind of different responsibilities, and overall, he was kind of judging the game as he saw it, And so I thought, maybe like a little bit of freedom, but at the same time with an obvious plan in place. So I think that's probably, I will say I was a little bit surprised to see him on the left, with him being left-footed, but he made good use of it. And I'm curious to see how this works if and when Barco is able to come back in. Because before, Barco played on the left wing, and then you would think at that point PD would move to the right. But I mean, he looked comfortable on the left. So I think the fluidity was just important to PD's play and the team's play in general.
Yeah, and I think that is the interesting point here. Is Ezequiel Barco was not in the match in the 23 at all because he suffered a knock on Friday in training. Also, Miles Robinson was not match fit. Jurgen Damm was not match fit, nor really integrated into the team quite yet. But back to Barco. In terms of them, they kind of end up in similar positions at times when they're both in the game. They've literally run into each other at times. Him not being in this match, I think, kind of opened it up for PT. Him having more space to run into, possibly. So it'll be really interesting to see when Barco returns, what they do about that, and, kind of creating space for each other. Maybe they have to, kind of swap sides at times during a match to allow each other to have more space to operate. But in terms of PT, I think for me the difference is that, he's not running the game. He's not having and forced to, have to pull all the strings. I think more that he's, in the last third, able to, be that guy to, make things happen and make plays happen. I think Josetu, Remedi, like you were saying earlier, they were running the game more. I think evident in Josetu not only having to play like 3 different positions throughout the match. Actually, he was moved by Stephen Glass around to try to kind of in the game state try to adjust to things that were maybe some deficiencies in areas. And I think at one point Stephen Glass said Josetu, I moved him over to the right after Hyndman came out because it's just maybe it wasn't quite exactly what we needed. But 96% pass accuracy in, I think second most passes in the game, next to Anton Walks. I mean, that's some tidiness that, kind of reminds you a little bit of Donington Nagbe. That's like, that production that we want to see. But anyway, so moving on to some notes. Brad Guzan, he recorded his first clean sheet of the season, but also the 37th clean sheet for Atlanta United. That was in his career anyway. But and this was Eric Remedi's 3rd career assist with the club. It came his last one came July 7th against Houston Dynamo. That was quite a while ago. Back to Guzan. I mean, he was pumped after the match, and he almost tore off Stephen Glass's arm, like dapping him up. I mean, I think Dan Gargan, the Fox Sports Southeast analyst, was saying, yeah, I mean, you know, he's just passing out concussions again. And that's, jeez. I mean, you know, Escobar knows. And in this match, there were definitely some moments where I think he collided with, was it Mesa? I mean, who was it? I think, but either way, one of the players, unfortunately I think it was John, but unfortunately ran into Brad Guzan. But definitely another negative from this match, unfortunately, is that Fernando Mesa did have to pretty much come off at halftime. He got injured, and the extent of that isn't quite known yet. It looked like a strain, maybe a pull of a hammy. He was able to continue.
At the end of the half,
but
at the end of that half, he was just not moving. I mean, like that was troubling to see for sure.
Yeah, and definitely, you know, that's you know, we have a few center backs, but they're not as experienced as a Fernando Mesa, and that's vitally important when you have so many matches in a row. We're not in a row, but just every 3 days, we essentially will have a match. It's you need all the depth that you can get, and you don't want players to get injured, but it kind of, you know, just I think we'll come with the territory. We'll have to kind of play with all of our squad. So some of the guys that maybe weren't able to kind of play a part in this match, the Jake Mulraneys, the Manuel Castros, you know, they will probably definitely see more game time in the future. But
I mean, Miles, you know, he didn't get the start, but he came on at halftime. I thought he was very good, you know. So hopefully he's able to start going forward, you know. Hopefully he can build on this performance.
Yeah, and it seemed like, if he wasn't 90 minutes fit, I mean, it's I think this will be a great step in getting him, you know, 90 minutes fit. And if he plays 45, you know, that's a good step forward in that. But in terms of another positive that I recall was that Josef Martinez was chatting with Stephen Glass, kind of right before the match, having like a 10-minute chat, just really kind of getting into it. I don't know if they were talking tactics. I don't know if Josef's vying for assistant coach in the meantime when he's not playing. But it was great to see him in the building and, you know, talking with the manager. And definitely, I think, you know, they were probably, you know, chatting through the game a little bit, kind of seeing if they had some things, some ideas they could share. But I think ultimately, what are your thoughts on this match? And, you know, are there things that we can improve on? What was maybe the standout for you? Obvious, probably standout. But
No, I mean, I think to add on to the positives, I was happy with the performance of the back line. I do think, especially more in the first half, Nashville had some looks on the counter, but I thought overall the whole back line kind of fell back well, played well. Anton Walks, I think, was really good. And, you know, I was just thinking about this, like, he's kind of somebody that can play along a back four. We've seen him play at left back. We've seen him play at right back. He played center back against Nashville. And so he's really good depth. One thing I think I would like to see more, though, is more switches in attack. You know, I think there were times where we were attacking down one side, and then, you know, I think that's a moment where I'd like to see maybe a switch to the fullback on the other side, especially if we're going to have the fullbacks pushed up. But, you know, I think all of it at the same time comes with time. You know, they're still kind of learning, adjusting to a new system. But I think more switches would help the team unlock defenses that are sitting deep, bunkering like Nashville were a little bit. So, yeah, you know, we could have created more chances for sure. But again, that's going to come with time, I think.
Yeah.
But overall, not too many negatives. I thought one thing about Guzan, I thought he was strong in the air. I thought, you know, he was commanding, had a few key punches. Mentioned he collided with John, I think, or somebody. You know, typical Guzan performance stuff. Yeah. I think that pretty much sums up my thoughts on what I really took away from this match.
Yeah. And PT, obviously, the man of the match when you score 2 goals. And I think with good reason. I mean, the efficiency, we were very, very clinical in this match.
Yes.
I think the negative for me is how easily we could have been undone with balls over the top. I mean, just route one, and we very well could have conceded, but because of Nashville, being a little inept at the forward department, and Gary Smith, their coach, even acknowledges that we definitely need some just more goals at the forward position and whatnot, and that's just kind of a kind of chemistry of that. Us, I think squashing out most of their chances, and then them not being very good going forward. But I think largely, we saw the kind of impetus, the style that was of yesteryear, and that's Stephen Glass, getting his first win for the club and his first win in his career at at MLS, and so that's really, really great to see. You saw that how ecstatic he was after the match as well, and definitely some of the photos and in press conferences he was beaming, and so or maybe not beaming because he had a mask on, but he was having trouble to understand or remember what the question was even, and so you definitely could tell that the excitement was there. But getting into some post-match quotes, PT Martinez, he talked about what was maybe different from Orlando and currently. He said that I said it because it was like that in terms of not defending the shirt properly in Orlando. He said, I felt it, and I said it Thursday. Tonight we showed a completely different face. We're very happy. This is the path. We have to keep learning. We have to keep working to be better. Today we showed character, and for us, that was very important. And you see all on social media, the team looks very happy as well. Not only because of a win, but I think during some of the the celebrations, even there just seems more unbridled joy. But goalkeeper, Brad Guzan, he also talked about the communication within the team. He talked about it. Said tonight, I think you saw especially that there were times where when we had excellent sequence of play and build up from the back to the front. Of course, it wasn't perfect for the entire game, but we knew it wasn't going to be. He went on to say, PT Martinez is fantastic, and then obviously with a bit of magic, and he puts it in the back of the net. These are little things that will ultimately make a big difference. Tonight is one step in the right direction. We know we have to get better. It wasn't perfect, but it was certainly a positive night for us. And definitely very, very true. But anyway, let's wrap a bow on that match. It's fun to see LA United get back in the win column, and we definitely have been missing that for most of the kind of quarantine, and so lovely to see goals being scored, lovely to see 3 points. But anyway, let's get into the news. And Stephen Glass talked about Fernando Mesa. He says he hasn't spoken to Fernando Mesa yet, but obviously you got a knock at the end of the half, and you had to come off. Miles Robinson was ready and stepped in right away for Fernando. As for Ezequiel Barco, he received a knock in training, and with so many games in the short period coming up, we felt it was better to protect him. I think just kind of wise coaching there and kind of player management. He said he's going to be an important player for us for the rest of the season, so there's no point in gambling on guys at this stage. But he also spoke on what he thought about the crowd noise being pumped into the stadium. Yeah, there was, if you didn't notice, there was definitely some crowd noise, like we spoke about in the previous podcast, that the players could hear, kind of to try to get them in the comfort zone and maybe get Nashville out of their comfort zone. But They definitely had tried that in some training, heard it, they liked it. But Stephen Glass, he talked about, I thought it worked really good tonight. We did it in training earlier in the week, so the lads knew it was coming. It's a great way of us feeling like the fans are there. They are a huge driving force for the whole club and for the team. When the second goal goes in, I think the roof would have come off. Hopefully, when they're allowed back, we will feel that excitement for real. And yeah, that's the tragedy, I think, in this is, I mean, that, I think everybody would have been, it's kind of, in terms of out of nowhere, it's sort of like that Tito Villalba goal against Orlando City. I mean, just an absolute bullet. And it's just those are fun to see, and the crowd would have, I think, reacted accordingly as well. But Brad Guzan talked about playing inside the empty stadium. He said, it certainly has a strange feeling to it. We missed our fans tremendously. They know what they mean to us, but we certainly know what they mean to us as well. To be in the stadium and not have that has never happened. So when it has happened for the first time, it is certainly different. But we know that they're with us from start to finish, and hopefully it won't be too long when we are able to have them back cheering us on in person. So great words said there. Now, there were some different festivities being done than normal, obviously, because of no fans there. But, there was on the Halo board a Golden Spike hitter in Piedmont Hospital nurse Krista Hofstetter. That's amazing to see that they're honoring, our healthcare, healthcare people that are really just sacrificing so much to, keep the public health. But, and then they also had the Golden Spike on the columns as well throughout the building, where you hashtagged and your photo could end up on the Golden Spike. And yeah, pretty cool to see. It was I think some overlap. I think more people maybe need to do it, and maybe need to be more aware of it. But anyway, so let's move on to the standings. And I think it's very interesting because yes, MLS's back was terrible for us. We lost 3 games, 1-0, but we're 4th in the standings right now. I mean, lol. It just shows you how early it is in the season. It's just, you see the how the table looks with the Crew, with Toronto FC, with New York Red Bulls ahead of us, and Orlando 2 spots behind us. And then, at the bottom of the table is NYCFC. I mean, it's just, this is a crazy MLS season, and it's only gonna get crazier, I feel like. But now we're back in a kind of comfortable playoff spot, even though it's still early days. But
you're right. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing too. Like, MLS is a forgiving league, you know what I mean? And especially if they allow more entrants into the postseason, I think that's been kind of floated out there. And I think Atlanta should be fine. I'd be surprised if they don't at least make it to the postseason.
Exactly. I think that's not only the low bar that's set, like that's what we have to do, really. But but anyway, so moving on from that, Frank de Boer, he spoke to Felipe Cardenas of The Athletic, and very telling article, but I think also confirmation of a lot of what we thought as well. He kind of confirmed not only the Josef and PT kind of walking off training pitches, but he kind of mentioned that was happening before he was there as well. He also talked about how the actual dismissal or kind of mutual parting of ways actually happened. He said that, Carlos Bocanegra and Darren Eels approached him after the MLS is Back tournament, and he was supposed to have a day off, and he got called into work, and they kind of talked to him about it. The whole conversation kind of centered around kind of the results not being there, performance not being there. Maybe it's a good time for Frank de Boer to step away, and he actually said that he didn't have much of a choice in the matter, which is I mean, pretty much saying that it was a dismissal. I mean,
Right.
you know, but either way, it's you know, I think we knew, you know, kind of there was some trouble definitely in Orlando at the MLS Back tournament.
Right.
It definitely, I think, caught several people off guard, and that's you know, that they would do it kind of swiftly like they did. But I think it is. I mean, a lot of people were seeing that there was just a lot of tension, a lot of you know, kind of divisive tactics that, you know, obviously wasn't working. But you know, I think very telling, I think, throughout the article. But he also talked about Darlington Nagbe and some of the players that he didn't want to lose. I mean, Darlington Nagbe, he said that you know, he pretty much was wanting to keep him, but kind of out of his control, and that he didn't agree with the trade. He said 100% not. You cannot replace a player like that. He's one of the best players, and he was so important to the team, especially because of the way we played. Especially, yeah, because, you know, he wants to keep possession, and who's a better possession player in the league? No one. Darlington Nagbe is, yeah, the man. But and as you saw, you know, even, you know, now he's getting even more chances to be aggressive towards goal. I mean, that's golazo that he scored, where he flipped it up to himself. Yeah, this past weekend. Oh my God, it just makes us all miss him even more. But anyway, so he also Frank de Boer talked about how you know, the loss against Toronto FC, he almost was in disbelief because he was contemplating what should have been a spectacular achievement for the club, in that if you know, we were able to get into the MLS Cup final and maybe win it, there would have been 3 titles, and it could be an entirely different conversation. But alas, you know, it is, at the end of the day, our biggest, and, you know, the goal that we want at the end of each season is getting MLS Cup. So, you know, he didn't deliver that for us, and there were some embarrassing results at MLS's Back tournament, and so thus he is gone. But anyway, on to another telling thing is that Andrew Carleton spoke with the MLS Gone Wild podcast, and yeah, you know, he's been on loan with Indy 11. He's balling out, and he wanted to kind of set some records straight, and I think that's very very interesting. I mean, obviously it's been a while since some of these have happened, but he never actually said he never actually got to speak on it, so he wants to kind of clear the air, at least from his side of the story. But yeah, you know, you may have heard that you know, there was a passport incident when he was going to Toronto, and the team was going to Toronto, and the team basically said that he had forgotten his passport. But he said point blank to the podcast, "I did not forget my passport. I've never had an opportunity to speak on the situation. So since I've never had an opportunity to speak on the situation, I'm not going to speak a whole lot on the situation today, but I did not forget my passport." What'd you think of that before we get to the other thing?
No, that's very interesting. You know, like, that's all I can really say, because it's obviously a complete contradiction to what was reported. So
it's a he said, she said.
Yeah, it's a he said, she said, and then it's like, let's maybe take his word for it. Let's say it wasn't, he did not forget his passport. Then what was that? Was that a punishment? You know what I mean? Or, you know, was that just, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, and then he talked about, well, there was an incident where, you know, at MLS Cup, right before, apparently, according to Pablo Maurer, he said that, well, his tweet said that, "I'm frankly surprised that Atlanta United fans didn't notice, but Andrew Carleton was out partying, and it was on his Snapchat or whatever, and so that's why he wasn't able to partake in any of the MLS Cup festivities, and the march as well, and the parade, just the parade rather." But he said, on that incident. He said, "Have you guys seen a video of me out and about before MLS Cup? Maybe we should question what all we see, correct? Now, I did do something to get me in trouble before MLS Cup, 100%. However, whatever is out there in the news world and soccer world is not 100%. He also said, though, yes, I 100% own up to all the immaturity, the mistakes that I made in my career. I've learned from it. I've matured from it. I'm probably the most mature 20-year-old you're ever going to see nowadays. I think that's the most important thing to me, is that I learned from my mistakes and I've moved on from that. I'm working harder than ever in my career to get back to where I want to be." And I think, yeah, he's definitely, I think, taken kind of a sabbatical in his mind and tried to get back, where he feels like he should be in his career. He said that also later in the podcast that he had kind of lost a love for playing the game, but he has kind of, I think, rekindled that back now, and I think you can see that. I mean, he's got 3 assists so far in the USL restart for Indy 11. And he's linking up with a former, player that we had for a very hot minute in terms of only in trade, but Tyler Pasher. But yeah, he's doing well and he's doing better, and I think, me personally, I'm very much hoping to see him flourish, and hopefully in an Atlanta United shirt. But the MLS Cup thing. Yeah, you want to speak on that?
Again, just interesting. I mean, yeah, I am. It makes me curious, but also at the same time, like, I feel like it's one of those things we'll never really know what happened. And as long as he's emotionally moved on from it, and learned whatever lessons that needed to be learned, then fine. I mean, like, I'm still rooting for him, and I think that if, let's say, Barco leaves about this time next year, and Andrew Carlton could be really important to us next season, So I think it's this form that he's showing now is encouraging. He plays for Indy 11 is a big time USL team, so they're probably gonna go far in the tournament or the playoffs or however they're setting up, and it'll be interesting to see if he can carry this form on and carry some momentum into the 2021 season.
Yeah. So moving on from that, Josef Martinez has been seen running on an anti-gravity treadmill, and that's, yeah, I mean, you love to see that, because not only is he kind of rehabbing and kind of getting closer and closer, but the fact that he can kind of put even just the tiniest bit of weight, even if it's anti-gravity, I mean, that's that's steps forward. So, obviously some people are really ragging on him about his weight, but you try not essentially being able to do cardio and you not gain any weight. That's just, it's almost nearly impossible unless your metabolism is insane. But anyway, so let's move on to Atlanta United 2. Atlanta United 2, they recently played Tampa Bay Rowdies, and they fell 2-1. Now, Philip Goodrum, he scored his first professional goal. It was a penalty, but ultimately it was in a loss. But the Twos will be on a little bit of a break until September 2nd, where they play Philadelphia Union 2. But anyway, last bit of news is on loan watch for the Phoenix Rising. Lagos Kunga, he assisted on a goal for a milestone for the 2019 league MVP in Solomon Asante. And so far he's got 1 goal and 1 assist in 6 games for Phoenix Rising. But hopefully he can continue to get some more game time. He's also a very talented homegrown player that maybe isn't getting his due. But anyway, that does it for the news. And for a little bit of housekeeping, follow our Twitch for some watch-alongs, and on every match day we will be there streaming. So come and hang out, come and banter, come and chat. It's on twitch.tv/ATL UTD FanTV. But let's move on to the mailbag, and you guys sending these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so. We might answer your question in the future. But first question comes from FrostJack101. FrostJack101 asks, where's Josef Martinez? All right, so this is our daily, or not daily, but weekly, it feels, question of how Josef Martinez is doing. And yes, he is out for the 2020 season. And yes, he is rehabbing. He's doing well. He's maybe even slightly ahead of schedule. But, it is what it is. He is out for the season. So, next question comes from...
Like
go ahead.
Week.
Yeah.
It's just like this week he was running on the treadmill. We saw him talking to the coach. It's just like a weekly update of what he's doing, which is basically the same thing every week.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, he's always on his boat. He's always catching wherever he is. We all hope it's not Lake Lanier. Maybe it's Lake Allatoona. But either way, if you don't know what the deal is with Lake Lanier, Google it. And maybe, hopefully, if he is going to Lake Lanier, somebody has, told him a little bit about it too. But next question comes from Drew Kindig. Drew Kindig asks, who that didn't already do you think could have played/started on the MLS Cup team? Now, just kind of going through the whole lineup for the MLS Cup team: Guzan, Larry, Parkey, LGP, Escobar, Gressel, Nagby, Remedi, Garza, and then Almiron and Josef. Who on our current squad could start over any of them? Who do you think?
Oh, that's tough. I don't think I can name anybody except maybe Miles. I think Miles could have possibly played at right center back where Larry played. If you remember earlier in the playoffs versus NYCFC, Miles did play in that spot because Lorenowitz was hurt. Or he could have possibly played in the middle, but then Parkey had a great game, and his tackle is really the assist for the first goal. So, but as for the others, I don't think anybody that we have now could have started over them. I think even we would need to see more from PD before we could say he's of this, I guess, caliber. Because you have to remember too the form that these guys were in 2018. You know what I mean? Even somebody like Garza, who didn't play very much, he did play a vital role in the playoffs. So it's a good question, and it's tough. And I think it just shows you that we did lose a lot of good players in kind of a short space of time.
Yeah, well answered. I can't add anything more to that, really. So, I agree, man. Last question comes from Junixor02. Asks, when will Jurgen Damm debut? I mean, I think, he has a good shout on Wednesday, but I think, he'll probably not start. It'll probably be more of a run out. And, I think, if he starts, it might kind of be on maybe the fourth match. I think he might kind of be used as a super sub until then. So Inter Miami, Orlando, those will be matches where he can come on and maybe terrorize them in the second half. And I think that's a useful weapon to have off of the bench for sure. But you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just based on the lineup that we used last night. I mean, I would say maybe Lennon is one that you could possibly replace. But then I think, if Barco comes back, then you have PD and Barco on the wings. So, I mean, I think Dom could possibly play that role that Lennon played as well. But, yeah, I agree with you. I think he'll be brought along. Maybe won't get a start until the third or fourth match.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting about this squad right now is there's a lot of unknown quantities in a sense because we haven't seen how they actually perform within the squad, within a game for us. And so, there are things that we do want to see. We want to see how they can play together because some of these kind of, pieces are really in competition for places. I think especially, a Brooks Lennon and a Jurgen Damm. And so, it'll be very interesting to see what happens at Manuel Castro as well. I mean, that's just, there's a lot of players that could play in a lot of, different roles. Jake Mulroney. But anyway, all right. That does it for the mailbag and pretty much the entire show except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, who do you think gets more matches in 2020, Kubo Torres or Jurgen Damm? Let us know in the comments below who you think. Really interested in seeing what you have to say. But guys, that's the entire show. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. For Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.